Jake Miller was the kind of guy who always laughed at serious things. He lived in Austin, Texas, worked at a small tech company, and spent most of his free time with friends playing pranks, making bets, and pulling off dumb jokes. Jake had charm, confidence, and a big smile, but no one ever called him mature. One night, at a party, Jake and his friends were drinking and talking about relationships. That's when Chris, his closest friend, said, "Jake, I dare you to do something crazy. Marry someone. For fun." The group laughed, thinking it was just a joke. But Chris wasn't done. "I'm serious. Let's make a bet. You marry a girl this week, any girl, and I'll give you $10,000. Jake raised an eyebrow. 10 grand. Yep. But it has to be legal. Real papers. Not just pretend. Everyone laughed again, but Jake took a sip of his drink and said, "Deal." Now came the question, who would marry Jake? Chris laughed. "How about that quiet girl from your office? What's her name?" "Emma." Jake's smile grew. Emma Carter was the girl in the corner. Always quiet. Always reading. She wore plain clothes, never smiled much, and kept to herself. No one really noticed her. The next day at work, Jake walked up to Emma. She looked up from her laptop. "Yes." Jake leaned on her desk and said, "Would you like to marry me?" There was silence. Emma stared at him. Her blue eyes didn't blink. "Is this a joke?" she asked. Jake smiled. "Maybe." Emma looked at him for a few seconds. Then said something no one expected. "Okay." Jake blinked. "Wait, really?" Emma nodded. "Meet me at the courthouse at 5 p.m. Jake thought she was joking too. But that evening, Emma showed up. Wearing a simple dress, her hair tied back. She had the paperwork ready. Jake signed. So did she. Just like that, they were married. That night, Jake celebrated with his friends. "I did it," he shouted. "Easiest 10 grand of my life." Everyone laughed and clapped. They asked what Emma said, how she acted. Jake just shrugged. She didn't care. Like she's used to crazy stuff. But the fun didn't last long. Later that night, when Jake got home, he found something on his kitchen table. A note. Written in neat handwriting. "You have no idea who you just married." Jake looked around. The door was locked. No windows were broken. Emma wasn't there. He picked up his phone to call her but stopped. He didn't even have her number. The next morning, things got even weirder. At work, Emma acted normal. Quiet. Focused. Jake walked up to her and asked, "Did you leave a note at my place?" Emma didn't look up. "You live on Green Street, right?" Jake froze. He never told her that. "Yes." "How do you know that?" Emma finally looked at him. Her voice was soft. Calm. "You married me, Jake. I had to know things." Jake laughed nervously and walked away. But deep inside, something felt wrong. Who was this girl? Why did she agree so fast? Why was she so calm? That evening, Jake followed her. She took a different road home. Not the way she usually walked. She turned into an alley. Jake hid behind a wall and peeked. Emma was talking to a man in a black suit. He handed her a file. She nodded, took it, and walked away. The man disappeared into a black car and drove off. Jake's heart was racing. Was she a spy? A criminal? He ran home, unsure what to do. And when he got there, his laptop was open. He never left it open. His emails had been read. His camera light blinked. And sitting next to the laptop, was another note. "Stay curious, Jake. but not too curious. Jake stared at the note, feeling his hands shake. The joke was over. The game had changed. He married her as a joke. But now, he wasn't sure he'd survive the marriage. Jake didn't sleep much that night. He sat in the dark, staring at the second note on his table. Stay curious, Jake. But not too curious. Who was Emma? Why did she say yes to a fake marriage? And more importantly, what had he gotten himself into? The next day, Jake watched Emma more closely. At work, she smiled softly at the receptionist. Helped a junior teammate fix their computer. Took her lunch alone in the same quiet corner. Everything about her looked normal. But Jake knew something wasn't right. She didn't act like someone who just married a stranger. She acted like she had a plan. Jake decided to test her. He brought her coffee and sat at her desk. Morning, wifey, he joked. Emma looked at the cup. No sugar. Jake blinked. How did you know? You take 2 spoons. I drink it plain, she replied without looking up from her screen. He gave a nervous laugh. You've been watching me. Emma smiled. You started it? Jake didn't know how to respond. It felt like she was always 2 steps ahead. Later that day, he asked Chris, what if Emma isn't just quiet? What if she's hiding something? Chris laughed. Dude, you're just paranoid. It was a joke. You won the bet. Relax. But Jake couldn't relax. Especially after what he saw next. That evening, Jake left work early and followed Emma again. This time, she didn't go home. She walked to a quiet diner on the edge of town. Jake waited outside, hiding behind a parked truck. Inside the diner, Emma met the same man from before, the one in the black suit. They didn't hug. They didn't smile. The man slid a tablet across the table. Emma looked at it, nodded, and whispered something. The man stood and left. Emma stayed a few more minutes, then walked out. Jake ducked behind the truck. But this time, Emma didn't walk away. She stood in the alley and said clearly, "You can come out, Jake." His heart jumped. Slowly, he stood up. Emma didn't look angry. She looked tired. "I know you followed me," she said. "I expected it." Jake stepped forward. "What's going on, Emma? Who are you?" She didn't answer right away. Then she looked him in the eyes and said, "I was trying to stay hidden. You ruined that." Jake blinked. "From who?" Emma paused. "From people who don't forget. And don't forgive." They sat on a bench nearby. The air was quiet. Cold. Emma finally spoke. "I used to work for the government. Quiet jobs. Digital security. Tracking systems. Data operations." Jake listened, confused. Emma continued. "I found something. Something I wasn't supposed to see. Names. Codes. Places. They told me to forget it. I didn't." "What happened?" Jake asked softly. "I ran," Emma replied. "I changed my name. Moved here. Took a boring job. Stayed invisible." Jake stared at her. "Then why did you say yes to me?" Emma looked at him for a long moment. "You were arrogant. Loud. But honest. I thought, if I married someone like you, it would keep them off my trail. They'd think I was stupid, emotional, distracted." Jake looked down. "You used me." Emma nodded. "And you used me too. So we're even." Jake couldn't argue. He had married her as a joke. But now he felt something else. Something real. "You could have just said no," he whispered. Emma smiled sadly. "I didn't expect to like you." Suddenly, Emma stood up. We should go, she said. Why? She looked down the street. Then handed Jake her phone. On the screen was a message. We found her. Terminate both. Jake's face went pale. Emma grabbed his hand. We need to disappear. Now. They ran into the night. Jake had no idea where they were going. He only knew one thing. This woman he married for fun was now the only one who could keep him alive. Jake had never run like that in his life. His heart pounded. His legs ached. But Emma didn't stop. She pulled him down alleys, through parking lots, and finally into an old storage garage. She locked the door behind them. Inside, it was dark and silent. Jake bent over, breathing hard. Emma, what is going on? Emma didn't answer right away. She walked to the back of the garage, pulled up a wooden board, and took out a black duffel bag. Inside were cash, phones, 2 passports, and a small silver gun. Jake froze. You were ready to run, he whispered. Emma looked at him. I always knew this day would come. They spent the night in an abandoned cabin an hour away. Emma didn't sleep. She stayed at the window, watching the woods. Jake sat by the fireplace, thinking hard. This wasn't the life he planned. He thought he was just winning a bet. A stupid joke. But now, he was married to a woman being hunted, by someone dangerous. The next morning, Jake finally spoke. Emma, I need to know everything. Who's after you? Emma sat beside him. It started 4 years ago, she said. I worked for a secret tech team under the Department of Defense. Our job was to build AI tools for data tracking. Jake nodded, listening carefully. One day, I found something. A file marked as deleted. It wasn't. It showed illegal surveillance of thousands of people, even American citizens. Including judges, reporters, even government officials. Jake blinked. You're saying they were spying on their own people? Emma nodded. Yes. And worse, they were building a system to control what those people did. Blackmail. Lies. Threats. Jake leaned back. That's insane. I downloaded a copy, Emma continued. I gave it to a friend in the press. 2 days later, he disappeared. His body was never found. Jake stared at the floor. He didn't know what to say. Emma's voice was calm, but her eyes were filled with pain. They came after me. I erased myself. Changed my name. Hid my past. I thought I could live quietly. Jake asked, then why did you keep the file? Emma looked straight at him. Because someone needs to tell the truth. Even if it kills me. Suddenly, Jake stood up and paced the room. I married you for a joke, Emma. But this is not a joke. This is real. People want to kill us. Emma looked at him and said softly. You're free to walk away, Jake. I won't stop you. Jake turned to face her. No. I'm not walking away. I don't know why, but I care now. That night, they planned. Emma would reach out to her old contact, a hacker named Milo in Chicago. He owed her a favor. If anyone could help protect the file and expose the truth, it was him. 2 days later, they arrived in Chicago using fake names. Milo lived in a dusty apartment above a pizza shop. He opened the door and grinned when he saw Emma. I knew you weren't dead, he said. But who's the guy? Jake replied, I'm her husband. Long story. Milo raised his eyebrows. Okay, Mr. Husband. Come in. Milo set up a secure network. He scanned Emma's flash drive. His face turned serious as he looked at the files. Emma, this is still active. They didn't shut the system down. In fact, they made it bigger. Emma leaned forward. Can you leak it? Milo nodded. I can. But if I do, they'll know it was me. Jake stepped in. We'll protect you. Milo chuckled. You married a hurricane, man. Hope you brought an umbrella. Suddenly, Milo's screen flashed red. Warning, system breach detected. Jake jumped up. What's happening? Milo started typing fast. They found us. They're inside the building system. Emma grabbed Jake's arm. We have to go. Now. They ran down the back stairs. As they reached the alley, a black SUV turned the corner. Men in suits jumped out. Emma pulled Jake behind a dumpster. Run left on my signal, she whispered. Don't stop. What about you? Jake asked. Emma looked at him. If they catch me, don't come back. Understand? Jake shook his head. No. We're in this together. Emma smiled, just for a second. Then yelled, go. They ran into the chaos of downtown Chicago. Emma had only one hope left. If Milo could upload the file before they caught him, the truth might save them all. But Jake had a different fear growing in his heart. He wasn't afraid of dying anymore. He was afraid of losing her. The streets of Chicago were loud, crowded, and fast, but Emma moved through them like a ghost. Jake struggled to keep up. They turned corners, crossed traffic, and ran through a subway station. People stared. Some yelled. But no one stopped them. Behind them, the black SUV was getting closer. Emma let Jake down into the underground tunnel. Finally, they found a dark maintenance room. Emma closed the heavy door and locked it. Jake leaned against the wall, out of breath. They're still behind us. Emma didn't answer. She was already working. She pulled a metal case from her backpack. Inside was something Jake had never seen. A device. Small, silver, with blinking blue lights. What is that? He asked. A signal jammer, Emma said. It will hide us for a little while. Jake stared at her. This wasn't the shy girl from the office. This wasn't a quiet woman in a simple dress. This was someone trained. Someone dangerous. Who taught you all this? He asked. Emma looked at him with calm eyes. The people I used to work for. Before they became the enemy. Then her face changed. She looked sad. I didn't want this life, Jake, she said. I wanted peace. A small apartment. Maybe a dog. Jake smiled slightly. I wanted $10,000 and a stupid story to tell my friends. They both laughed for a second. Then Emma said, now we're both in the middle of something big. Jake looked at her closely. You saved me. More than once. Why? Emma took a deep breath. Because I didn't expect to care. But I do. I really do. Silence. Then Jake stepped forward. Then let me help you. I'm not just some dumb guy anymore. Emma smiled. No. You're not. Back at Milo's place, things had gotten worse. Milo was trying to upload the file to 5 secure news networks and 2 whistleblower sites. But the enemy was fast. They were shutting down servers, blocking connections, hacking the systems. Milo called Emma. We're running out of time, he said. I need one last direct line. But I can't access it from here. Emma nodded. Tell me where. He gave her an address. Jake asked, what's the plan? Emma replied, we break into a government relay station. We send the file directly to the public. Jake swallowed hard. Sounds dangerous. Emma looked at him. It is. Jake smiled. Let's do it anyway. That night, they reached the station. It was outside the city. A quiet building with a fence, a guard, and one blinking red camera. Emma had the codes. She hacked the system in less than 30 seconds. Inside, they ran through the halls, reached the server room, and connected the device Milo gave them. Lights blinked. Files uploaded. Jake watched the screen. Line by line, the truth was going live. Suddenly, an alarm rang. Red lights flashed. "They found us," Emma said. Jake grabbed the jammer and followed Emma as they ran toward the back exit. But just before they reached the door, 3 armed men appeared. "Hands up," one of them shouted. Jake froze. But Emma stepped forward. "I wouldn't do that," she said. She pressed a button on her watch. An electric pulse blasted through the hallway. The guards fell, unconscious. Jake's jaw dropped. "You have a shock pulse." Emma smirked. "Told you I was full of surprises." They escaped into the woods behind the building. Rain started falling. Cold. Heavy. They walked for miles before reaching an old gas station. Inside, they sat near a heater, shivering but alive. Jake looked at Emma. Wet hair. Tired eyes. Dirt on her face. Still the most powerful woman he'd ever seen. "I can't believe I married you for a joke," he whispered. Emma leaned her head on his shoulder. "I can't believe I said yes." His voice softened. "But I'm glad you did." She looked up at him. "I was scared to feel anything again, Jake. But you reminded me what it feels like to be human." Jake held her hand. "I don't care who you were. I care about who you are now." They sat in silence, just holding hands, while the heater hummed quietly. Suddenly, Emma's phone buzzed. A message from Milo. It worked. "It's out. It's everywhere. They can't stop it now." Emma smiled. "The truth is free." Jake hugged her tight. "For the first time, so are we." 3 weeks later, the world had changed. The files Emma released spread across the internet like wildfire. News stations, blogs, and even foreign governments were talking about the truth she had risked her life to share. Powerful people were arrested. Secret programs were shut down. Investigations were happening everywhere. And Emma Carter? She disappeared from the headlines. Just like she wanted. Far from the city, deep in the mountains of Colorado, a small cabin stood quiet under the trees. Inside, Jake was fixing breakfast. Eggs, toast, and black coffee just the way Emma liked it. He wore a hoodie and slippers, his hair messy from sleep. But his eyes were calm. Peaceful. Emma came out of the bedroom, wrapped in a warm blanket. "Morning," she said. Jake smiled. "You slept in." "For once," she replied. They sat on the porch, watching the mist move through the trees. No noise. No traffic. No running. Just peace. Jake looked at her. "You know, this is the longest I've ever been married," he joked. Emma laughed. "It's the only time I've been married." Jake turned serious. "Do you ever miss it? Your old life?" Emma shook her head. "No. That girl died a long time ago. I only miss the good dreams." Jake nodded. "And now?" Emma looked at him, her voice soft. "Now I have new dreams." They spent the day reading books, fixing the roof, and planting flowers in the small garden behind the cabin. Simple things. Quiet things. Things Emma never thought she'd get to do again. That evening, while watching the sunset, Jake suddenly stood up. "Come with me," he said. Emma looked confused, but followed him. They walked to the edge of the forest, where Jake had set up a small wooden table. On it was a single ring, handmade from copper wire. Jake turned to her and smiled nervously. "Last time I asked you to marry me," he said, "it was a joke." Emma smiled back. "Yes. I remember." Jake continued, his voice shaking just a little. This time, it's not. He dropped to one knee. No games. No dares. Just me and you. For real. For life. Emma covered her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. I don't have a fancy ring, Jake said. Or a crowd. Or music. But I have something better. He placed his hand over his heart. I have a new version of me. One you helped create. Emma knelt down with him. She didn't say anything at first. Then she whispered. You married me as a joke, but you loved me like it was real. You protected me. Believed in me. Stayed when you didn't have to. She took his hand and placed it on her chest. And now, I don't want to hide anymore. Tears rolled down both their faces. In the quiet forest, under the golden sky, they made their real vows. No papers. No lawyers. No lies. Just two broken people choosing each other. Later, back at the cabin, Jake looked at her and asked. What do we do now? Emma smiled. We live. And if they come looking again. She leaned against him. Then we fight. Together. Jake chuckled. You really are dangerous, aren't you? Emma grinned. Only to the people who deserve it. They sat by the fireplace that night, wrapped in one blanket, as the stars shone above the trees. Jake whispered, You still amaze me. Emma whispered back, Good. I hope I never stop. The end.